Hello, welcome to Good Work Network. My name is Stacy Williams, and I'm the Director of Partnerships and Program Development. We appreciate you spending time with us today. Good Work Network assists entrepreneurs with operating and growing their businesses. We are honored and proud to state that we have been doing this work for 19 years. Yes, 19 years. There are many entrepreneurs in the New Orleans and Baton Rouge area that have benefited from our services. If you're interested in speaking with us about your needs, please contact us at goodworknetwork.org. Additionally, we have a COVID-19 resource page on our website that has a wealth of great information to assist businesses during this time. Before I introduce our esteemed guests, I'd like to ask you to enter your questions in the Q&A feature. We will host a Q&A during and at the end of the presentation. Our speaker has 2 decades of corporate experience leading virtual global teams and developing future leaders worldwide. She has worked across the United States, Europe, Asia, Middle East, and Africa for several Fortune 100 companies, including IBM, Merrill Lynch, and Intuit. Through keynote speeches, workshops, and executive coaching, she has empowered thousands of professionals across the globe to develop critical business skills and expand their potential. She uses her personal and professional experiences to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to rise in leadership. Please join me in welcoming Dima Ghawi.
Thank you, Stacey. Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I hope you and your family, you're doing well during this difficult time and that you're staying safe and healthy. In our session today, we're going to talk about employee engagement. We're going to talk about a lot of important topics that help us manage our teams during this difficult time. So here are the 2 topics: managing layoffs, which is so important for us to know how to manage layoffs during this time, and also to motivate the employees that are staying and learn how to keep them productive. I want to encourage you, as Stacy mentioned, to engage. So we're going to pause during the presentation for you to ask questions, to enter comments, to share your experiences. So the first thing I would want you to do in the chat box, in addition to the 2 topics related to layoffs and motivating your employees, tell us what additional topics you need help with during this time. Okay, so now we're gonna start with layoffs. A lot of organizations right now, they are either starting to do layoffs or they are thinking about it. The situation is so difficult, and I know a lot of managers and also business owners, they're struggling with this because they feel that their employees are like family. It's hard for them to let go. They feel a sense of guilt, and it is very difficult right now. So that's why we need to learn how to be able to do it in an effective way, in a humane way that gives a lot of respect and appreciation for the employees. And that's what we're going to talk about. This is absolutely the most difficult thing any entrepreneur has to deal with, especially during this time when we're seeing our businesses being affected. And now we have to reach out to the people that have been serving us many times for many years and to let them go. So as I'm talking about all of these things, I want you to also think about what can you do to take care of yourself? Because right now we're thinking about how we can take care of our employees, how can we continue to support our customers, but we need to pause and think about how can we help ourselves physically and mentally during this difficult time. So why is it important to even talk about layoffs and putting together strategies for that? Because the way we handle layoffs is not just important from an employee relations perspective, but it is important for protecting the company. And when I talk about protecting the company, it's 2 ways to protect it. The first one is to protect the brand, because our employees are most likely our customers. They're connected with our customers. So that is the one, which is the brand of the organization. But the second one is also protecting yourself from any lawsuits, because this could be a chance for many people to do a lawsuit, especially for related to discrimination. So we need to be very, very careful and to ensure that you are protected. I'm going to put a disclaimer. I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to share with you tips and messages that I've done in the past as a leader for Fortune 20 organizations, but also as a business owner right now. Oops. So I want to share with you 5 steps for when you start thinking about layoffs, 5 things for you to think about as you are planning and putting together the strategy. And as sad as it is for us to be even discussing this topic, it is so essential. So go ahead and start taking some notes. The first one is to craft the message of that you are going to give to the affected employees. And that is mainly to draft what you are going to tell them. It's not a matter of sitting and just saying, I'm sorry, you're going to be let go. First, you should not say you're sorry, and you need to be very, very careful of how you are putting together that message. So I'm going to share with you some ideas. First thing is your message should not be longer than 30 seconds. You need to be very direct. You say what you're supposed to say, and I'm going to give you an example. But also, if you're going to keep going back and forth and sharing a lot of information, it's not going to help you. So you're going to follow a script, and it's very important not to say I am sorry, because they're not going to believe you or trust you if you're saying that you are sorry. Of course, it is so sad, but we just need to say it in a way that they're going to be able to absorb, because that's a big shock for your employees and my employees as well. And that whatever we do, we need to ensure that we are respecting them and they feel respected as we are communicating with them. So here is ideas for you as you're crafting the message, and go ahead and take a screenshot for the page. There's more information coming, but I'm more than happy to email the script to Stacy so she can share with everyone as well. So here's what you can say. You can say, thank you for meeting with me today. I have some sad news that I need to share with you. Due to the circumstances of the economy and what's going on with the COVID-19, we had to make a difficult decision. Unfortunately, effective today, your job is being eliminated. So you see, it is extremely direct, right to the point, and it is aligned with the truth of what's going on and what all of us were experiencing right now. So then you give them a pause, like you do a pause, and that's mainly for them to absorb the shock. So you just give them a few seconds to absorb it. And then you say, and then you give them some kind of a positive message of what you are giving them to support them during this time. So you say, however, we're providing you with the following benefits. So, and we're going to be talking about some ideas of benefits you can provide them. So maybe you're giving them a severance package. Maybe you're giving them some kind of support to help them to find another job. So we're going to talk about that. And then you pause again because they're still in shock, and you're giving them the chance to absorb all of this. Even though you're pausing, both of you may not be speaking, and that's okay. Just give them a few seconds to absorb it. And then you repeat what you said initially, and mainly you say, unfortunately, this was a difficult decision. It's a business related, so mainly it's not about them, it's about the business. And we want to support you as you go through the transition. So as you see, as difficult as it is, the more you have a structured approach of how you're going to handle the layoffs, it's going to help you. But at the same time, it's going to ensure that you are very clear of the messages you're sharing, and also you're protecting yourself and you're protecting the organization from any misunderstanding that may come back and haunt you. So any shock that we experience in our life, there's different stages we go through for the grief. So the first one is the denial, then anger, depression, bargaining, acceptance. So expect the same thing when you're working with your employees that you're letting go, that initially they may be totally shocked and in denial, but then they may become so angry and they may feel low. They may start bargaining with you about various things that you can change your mind. and until they get to the acceptance. I'm sharing this because it is so important. Like a lot of people, they're going through very difficult times right now. And if you're saying a major change in the behavior of them going up and down, to help you understand that it is very normal until they pass through these different stages of grief, because it's a big deal. So, okay, so the first thing is to draft the message that you're going to share with them that we talked about. The second one is to prepare yourself for any questions that they may ask. And I have a list of questions that I totally recommend for you to prepare ahead of time before you even go into the meeting. So the first one is the question that the employees will ask is, when will I receive my last paycheck? They want to know that. They may want to know if you're going to pay them an extra month or so. So be clear to yourself of how you're going to answer that question. The second one, they're going to ask if there's going to be any severance pay. So it doesn't mean you have to give it. It just means that you need to be aware if that is something that you're planning to do, and so you can answer that question. The next one they're going to ask is, will I get paid for my unused vacation time? So that is very normal. So you need to decide. There's no right or wrong. You just need to decide how you're going to address this. Is the company offering healthcare coverage? So let's assume you're letting go the employees in the middle of the month. Let's say May 15th. So they need to understand, are you covering them for the rest of the month? Or let's say June 15th, are you covering them for the rest of the month? My recommendation is that you would. If you have the ability, if you have some financial ability to do that, is just cover the month. And if you have also the ability to cover an extra month, that would be so kind to be able to offer that to them as they are trying to figure things out. Next one, they want to know what's going to happen to their 401k. So you may offer that, you may not. So if you do, you need to think about what is the information you're going to share with them, who is the contact that you're going to provide them to help them with any topics related to their 401k. And then they may, for anyone who has stock options, and this is mainly for bigger organizations, they need to understand what's going to happen for that. And the next one is a lot of time they're going to ask about reference, writing a reference or recommendation letter. So we tend to do that, but you need to be extremely careful and put a policy around this. A lot of bigger organizations, they do not give reference letters because they're afraid if they say something that it may come back later and it would be a lawsuit. So let's say you have an employee who's doing a great job and you say in the reference letter, let's assume Felicia has been wonderful. She's one of the best. I totally depend on her. But let's say she gets the job and she's not doing a good job at the next company. That company could come back and sue you and say, well, your reference letter said all of these amazing things about Felicia. That is not our experience. So you just need to be very careful and decide, is this something you would want to do or not, where you may put a policy, and the policy would say that you're willing to give information about the start date, the end date, give any high level information, but not specifics. And then a lot of employees would want to get copies of their performance reviews, and that's totally okay, where you can guide them of how to get that, because they will need this information as they are starting to look for another job. So think about these questions, write them down. And again, I will send them to Stacy to share with you as well, because as we are preparing to these difficult conversations, we need to be as prepared as possible. So now step number 3, it is think about how you can support these employees that are departing. So what are certain resources that you can provide them? And this is so important, because this is when we're going to share that we actually care, where it's not just about the bottom line and the business, it is about the human interaction and all the appreciation we have for them. So I want you to start thinking about what you can do, and I'm going to share with you some ideas. One of these ideas is think about if you can even afford a severance package. If you can't, that's okay. It just depends on the team. If you're a small business and totally being hurting right now, you're not. Bigger corporations may be able to afford that. The second one is think of resources to help them. A lot of people may feel uncomfortable, or they may not understand how to apply for unemployment or how to apply for the COBRA benefit. And the COBRA is for the health insurance after they are let go. So maybe you schedule a meeting and you guide them through it, or you bring somebody to help them through it. So this way you're not just letting them go, you're really showing that you care and you're doing your best to help them. Reach out to your network. Some of your network may already be hiring right now. It depends on the industry and what they're doing. So reach out to people you know that may be hiring, and tell them that you need to let go of some of your employees, and ask if there are any job openings that they have. So this way you can help your employees as they are looking for another job. Hire a career coach. So find somebody who can come and help your team with resume writing, LinkedIn profile update, interviewing skills. It depends on the situation. I know some employees that have been working for the same organization for like 25 years, and they didn't update their resume for so long. So if this is something you can afford, to bring a coach, let's say for an hour or two, to help your team, to give them a workshop about how to update their resume, what to look for in LinkedIn profile, what are the questions that they need to be prepared for the interview. That shows a lot of kindness and generosity from your side if you are helping them with that. And then for your employees that submit unemployment, make sure you approve it. Make sure you provide the information that is needed, because that's gonna, of course, help them in the short term. Resources. Here are some resources for you to think about. I found this Work It Daily just recently, and it is an online website that, well, of course, online, and it just costs $20 a month. And they help people with resume, they help them with LinkedIn profile, they provide coaching, and they provide a lot of resources and training. So I never tried it, but I just found it recently, and it looked really, really professional. So maybe one of the things you can do is pay for their subscription, let's say for 3 months. So this way the employees can go and they can get some resources, and it's just $60. So it is not going to cost a lot, but at the same time is providing them with help. The East Baton Rouge, for anyone who is in Baton Rouge, they have a career center, the library, and they do a lot of work for free to help individuals update resumes and provide them with resources. So reach out to them and see what can they do to help you and your team during this difficult time. For the job search, there's multiple websites that we have here in Baton Rouge and in Louisiana to help us. So there's BR Works, there's the Louisiana Job Connection, and the Louisiana Rapid Response. The Louisiana Rapid Response is a Facebook page, and it's mainly posting the jobs that are opening right now. BR Works is by BRAC, the Chamber of Commerce. So look into these and ensure that you are sharing these resources with your team, because these are jobs that are opening right now. Not everybody is cutting costs. There are areas and industries that are growing at this point. So if we can help our team during this shocking time for them to find these resources, that's just going to show a lot of kindness and generosity. So now step number 4, meet with your team individually. So this, I mean by that, is the team members that are being laid off, and also the team members that are remaining. The team members that are being laid off, meet with them one-on-one. Don't do a whole department. Don't bring them everybody together, even if they are a lot. Meet with them one-on-one. It just shows more respect. This way they can express their emotions more just between you and him or her, instead of in front of everybody. And when you have everybody, it just may create a lot of anger, and people will become louder, and that's an environment you cannot handle. So meet with them one-on-one and share and tell them the script that we mentioned earlier, which is that you are that this is difficult time. Unfortunately, we need to cut some headcount, and your job is being affected. So that is so important. And to follow what I mentioned to you, like you take a pause, you repeat what you said, you give them an opportunity to talk, but don't don't create a meeting where there's going to be a lot of questions that it lasts forever. Schedule a short time, maybe 15 minutes or maximum 30 minutes for you to address the situation per person. But as important, it's very, very important for you to meet with the employees that are remaining. Because think about it, they're going to be terrified about their job. They're worried that they're going to be next in line to be let go. And you don't want to be a lot of gossip or unanswered questions in the background. So this way you're meeting with them one-on-one and you're sharing. You share. Unfortunately, I wanna share with you that your coworker Mary has been let go. We appreciate her. We believe, we think so highly of her, and at the same time, the environment, economic situation is not helping us right now. And if they ask, what about me? What am I going to be next? You cannot promise that things will be okay. We don't know. You just say, I'm not sure at this point. We are doing our best to continue to keep the business going, to keep our remaining employees, but that's not something we can promise in the long term. You cannot promise anything, even though we would like to. We would like to tell everybody that things will be okay and it will get better. We don't know. We're in a place right now that has a lot of uncertainty, and we need to be careful of how we're addressing these things so they wouldn't come back and hurt us later. So now the next step, step number 5 is after the layoff is completed and the employees they left the company and they're on their own, just send them a thank you letter. You don't have to say much, and be careful what you're typing there, but just say, I appreciate you, I wish you all the best, and just a simple thank you letter. And this shows more and more of the kindness, and it also shows that even after they are gone, you're thinking about them. So these are the 5 steps. Again, craft the message. Be very prepared of how you are going to deliver the message. Don't memorize it. Don't read it. Make it more genuine. Practice it as much as possible. So when you're meeting with the employees, you're able to speak. Don't say the word "I'm sorry," because that's important. We're all uncomfortable right now, and we need to be able to say the right words. Anticipate the questions. So remember the questions I shared. Think of ways to support the employees that are being laid off, and think of the resources. So continue to write down what can you offer them, even simple little things. What can you do to support them? Meet with each employee individually, and then write a thank you note for the employees that have been laid off and let go. So after all of this is completed. So here are some tips, and then I'm going to open for a few minutes for questions and also to hear your comments and your stories as well. So some of the tips is, don't make a decision, any decision related to layoffs without consulting with an employment attorney. So reach out to an attorney and make sure you are very clear. I know it costs money up front, but that is much less than if you are hit by a lawsuit and then you have to pay all of the attorney fees then. Make sure you are understanding, getting clarity of what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to say, and what you're not. The second one is set a criteria for layoffs, and it's difficult. So let's say you have 2 people. How would you choose which one you're going to let go? So that's why you need to have a very clear documented information of how you made the decision to let go of a person. Because let's say one of your employees is single, and then the other employee is also a single mom with 3 children. And you let go of the single employee, she can come back and she say, oh, they kept the other one because she has 3 children. It's not about that. It's not about the number of children. It's not about single. It's not a matter of color. It's not a matter of that. What matters is performance. You look at their past performance and you keep the employees that are doing well. Make sure you have records of their performance and that you had discussions with them in the past. If you did not in the past, go ahead and start writing this information now. Start documenting things right now, because this is the only reason that's the only criteria that should allow us to determine who's going to stay and who's going to leave. And it's tricky because let's say you have an employee that has been with you for 20 years and you have one that has been with you for 5 years. It's difficult. So it's, again, what matters is the performance, not these other things. You need to look at the performance and talk to an attorney to guide you through this. Offer assistance, but don't overpromise. So of course you can say, I'm happy to help. I'm gonna reach out to my network. Here are resources for you to look into, but don't overpromise, because right now a lot of people, they're just gonna hold on to this promise, and they're gonna come back and they say, I can't trust you. You overpromised and you did not deliver. So just be careful about that. And then put a policy regarding reference letters and recommendation letters, all of this. Some companies are okay with that. A lot of the large companies, they're not. Because again, they're afraid of the information that they provide right now, that it would come back and haunt them in the future. They're okay to provide information of when the employee started, when the employee was let go, just very high level information, but not specifics about the performance, because people change and you don't want to offer a recommendation letter where it's not aligned with the experience that the new employer is having. So now I'm going to pause. I want to hear from you, your questions, any comments, any experiences you have, all of this. So let's spend some like few minutes together. Go ahead and enter in the chat box and the Q&A.
Dima, while we're waiting for our entrepreneurs to enter questions, do you have any tips for the New Orleans area? Do you have any tips for those who are being furloughed and then can't return? Is there a difference when those were forced to furlough their employees and maybe they're shutting down? Is there a tip in transitioning that employee?
Yeah. So your question about New Orleans, I don't think it is any of this is specific to one area. So everything we talked about, it applies regardless what industry you're in, what area you're in. It just makes it harder for New Orleans because COVID-19 hit it really, really bad. And most likely there's so many more companies that would need to do more layoffs than usual. And it's harder to find jobs. So my recommendation is the same thing as I shared. It is to be direct. It's about being human, like really show compassion and care during this time and going above and beyond to help the employees as they are transitioning. For the ones with the furlough related to your question, I feel it's the same as well. So right now you would say we would need to put everybody on furlough. We cannot afford, but think about like you cannot keep them forever. Maybe you see that things are not going in a positive way. Let them go so they would be able to find other jobs and help them as they are finding these other jobs. It is so difficult. Like even when I was preparing for this, I was like, I wish we were talking about something so much more happier, but this is the environment we're in right now. And it is difficult. And that's when we are showing our kindness. This is the time we show how we're communicating with compassion and really trying to help our employees, regardless of their background, how many years they have been with us. It is to help them to transition. But this is also an opportunity for as if organizations to go through a cleanse. It is to start thinking about who do we want to keep? Who are the individuals that have not been serving us well? And also to become so picky in the future when you're hiring, to think about the skills and the kind of personalities you want to hire as well in the future. And it's difficult right now where we're thinking about we need to let go of the employees to keep our organizations surviving. But if we don't, nobody keeps a job. They're going to lose their job and we're going to lose the company as well. So it's just difficult. But regardless what we do, to be direct, to be prepared, and to be so compassionate and to do everything in our power to help them during this transition. Stacy, I think you're on mute.
Yes. Yeah. There's a question about, you said not to apologize. Can you expand on that? Like, why is that such a bad idea?
Yeah. So when somebody is meeting with you and they're saying, I'm sorry, somehow when we're giving them such difficult shocking information, they're not going to believe we're sorry. There's no way they believe it, but we need to show how sorry we are with our action by helping them. If you're just sitting there and you're saying, I'm sorry is overused as well in our society. So when you think about how much we say the word, I'm sorry, especially for women, my goodness, we say sorry for everything. So it's not coming across as that we're truly sorry. It just comes across as a word that we're used to saying. And that's not what we want our employees to hear right now. So action, show them that you care and you're sorry through your actions.
Thank you. Thank you. That was our last question for now.
Okay, good. And if anyone has more questions, go ahead and enter them. If you want to talk to us, go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so now the first part of the presentation was about layoffs and how to put together a plan for that. The second part is about the employees that are remaining within the organization. You want to ensure that these employees stay motivated and also that their performance continues to be high. And it's difficult, especially we're dealing with so much. Think about it. People are afraid for their jobs. They have to homeschool. They're afraid for their health. They may have seen some of their coworkers let go, and now you need to manage them virtually and keep them motivated. It is not easy. So that's why it's important that we get to talk about it right now and cover certain tips for you to help you during this time. Many people, when they think about employees working virtually, they imagine something that looks like this guy, where they're on a vacation, acting like they're working, but they're really not. So this is the image that a lot of managers and business owners had in the past, and that's why they would refuse to have their employees work virtually. And you hear most likely about the new generations, millennials and Generation Z. They're asking for flexibility and all of this, and we were not giving it enough for them before. So now we're forced overnight to let everybody work from home, depending, of course, on the industry you're in. You may still be some of the companies that need, like essential, that you need to be open. With this discussion is mainly helping us to think about trust. We need to build trust with the employees and talk to them and say, I trust you. I know this is a difficult situation and you have a lot, but I trust that you're going to do your best and ensure that your performance is not going to be affected, even with everything that we're dealing with right now. So now let me ask you, these are in the question, enter, what's your experience working virtually? So is it yes, A, B, a little, and C, no? So before all of this pandemic and everything we're experiencing, what has been your experience? Have you worked virtually in the past? So you can enter that in the chat. Thank you, Jacqueline. B, Melanie, yes, A. Very good. Wow, that's so great. So it looks like a lot of you have experience in working virtually, which is wonderful. Some, they don't, and this is all new to you. So that's why as I'm presenting, I want to make sure I'm giving value to all of you, regardless if you have experience in the past or not. So now the second poll that I have for you is, do you prefer working virtually in the office, or do you prefer a mix of both? Especially now, since you got a taste of it as well. I see a lot of C's. Okay. Oh, Jacqueline, you like virtually. Samantha, virtually. Great. Okay. That's so good. So, it's funny how not a lot of people put B, or none right now put B, because we got a taste of working virtually, and now we would want to be able to do both. We don't want to just be in the office. That's great. Okay. So this survey was done before the pandemic, and it's by SHRM, that's the Society of Human Resource Management, and they found that 66%, so 66% of multinationals and half of all organizations, they use virtual teams to boost productivity, while at the same time they're saving money and they're lowering the cost of travel. So you can only imagine how our world is going to change even more. So this 66% is going to be so much higher once we go back to the world and once we start opening more and more businesses. One more question, and then we'll dig into the topic. What are the main challenges you experience as you're managing virtual teams? So what are these challenges that you are facing with right now? Go ahead. What? Time management. So yes, Stacy, it's tough. There's Jacqueline, you're right. There's no end to the day. It just feels that all the days are mixed together. Yes. Valerie, I agree. It's so difficult to focus, especially right now with everything we have, so much distractions in the background and in our heads right now. Thank you. Space and time, Stephanie. Yes, boundaries. Thank you. Okay, so when I talk with employees and I ask them about their challenges of working virtually, here are some of the things I hear from them. So these most likely are some of your employees. Well, I'll read one more from Melanie. Not everyone's best time of productivity happens at the same time. You're right. Some people are more productive in the morning than at night. And then Andrea, my attention being pulled in all directions. It's hard to prioritize. Absolutely, it's hard. It's very difficult, especially now. So it affects relationship. When we're working virtually, it affects the relationship, whether it is with our employees, with our customers, with our suppliers, because there's something human about seeing each other and engaging with each other. It's difficult to build trust. So when we're thinking about continuing to build trust, it's not the same as you're sitting, having coffee with somebody and talking with them. There's a whole different energy. The sense of disconnection from, so this is what the employees say, that they feel a sense of disconnection from their leadership team, because it's not as the same as being in the office, having water cooler time, or walking and getting coffee and talking about business. It's different. They feel disconnected. The effect on career development. So this is something we need to be careful about for the employees that are not being let go. We need to keep thinking about what are we doing to help them continue to develop their career and to continue to challenge them. Adapting to new technologies. Can you imagine how difficult it has been for us to transition and become virtual and learning all technologies? And there's a lot of people resisting it. And then boredom of working at home. So it's not fun, especially for individuals that are single and they're just sitting home right now trying to get work done, but it's just so boring. So much distractions, and the distractions, they could be checking social media, checking the news, kids screaming in the background, dogs barking, but there's a lot of distraction in our head right now of fears and insecurities and all of these things. And it's difficult, so difficult to separate home from work. So this is what some of you mentioned. It's difficult to put certain hours of working. Do you remember this interview with the BBC when he was having the interview and the kids walked in and we laughed about it and it went viral? We did not realize that 2 years later that this would be our life, and this is what we're going all to experience. And this is for anyone who wears Spanx. I love Spanx. This is their CEO, and she had a picture of herself in her closet trying to get work done and trying to run away from her kids. So we're all experiencing some interesting time. This woman, I'm not recommending it, so don't say Dima recommended this, but it's hilarious. Look what she did to her kids, and she's working in peace and she's trying to get as much work done as possible. So right now, it is so important for the employees that are remaining, that are not being let go, to ensure that we are showing strong leadership. They're feeling so much worry, so much fear, so much insecurity, especially the ones that are observing their team members being let go. So it's not just a matter of the pandemic or working from home. There's a lot of emotions that a lot of people are experiencing, and they're difficult emotions. That's why we need to be so intentional. As we're leading our team, we need to be intentional to stay connected with them. So I want you to, in your note, to write down intentional, and we're gonna dig deep into what this means. So intentional in three things, and I want you to get a piece of paper, have three columns. The first column at the top of it is going to say connecting with your employees. So being intentional in connecting with your employees. And that mainly means talking to them, having one-on-ones with them, asking them how they are doing, checking on their performance, talking about any fears that they're having. That is so important. And I know a lot of teams, a lot of managers in the past, they may not have had periodic one-on-one meetings because things were just happening so fast. They didn't have time for it. But now we need to be so intentional in talking with our team. If you have a big team and you feel overwhelmed about this, just talk to each team member for 10 minutes. It's okay. What matters is for them to have the one-on-one connection with you. In your meeting with them, here are some questions that I recommend for you. And go ahead and write these questions. The first one, you're asking them how they're doing. The second one is, how are you feeling about working remotely? Because a lot of people are still not comfortable, even it's been almost 2 months. What is the technology working effectively for you? Some people, they caught it like very easily. Others, they're still struggling. And one advice I got for the people that are struggling, go on YouTube and find tutorials for the tools that you're using and send it to them so they can watch it and they can learn how to become more comfortable with the tool. And then ask them, what are you working on? Because you need to understand what they're working on. And I have additional tips for you related to that. What can I do to help you? And this is such an important question to ask because a lot of employees, they may not feel comfortable to ask for help right now, but in order to show that you care as a manager, you need to continue to offer your help and you need to offer your support. And then you say, is there anything you want me to know? I forgot the word me. Is there anything you want me to know? So this way, if there's anything they didn't mention, you're really opening a door of that it's okay to share with me anything that you have not shared before. And this one is so important where you're actually activating a sense of creativity in them. And you're asking them, what are 3 things that would help the organization that we are currently not doing? So ask them, is there anything that as a team we're not doing that you feel would help the organization at this time? So this way they're starting to think and they're giving you ideas, and you can never know, they may be amazing ideas that you may not have considered in the past. So these are some of the questions. If you don't have time to go through them, and you don't need to ask all of them every time, but it is constantly asking about what they're working on, how can you help, is there anything else that they would like to share with you. So make them comfortable to ask these questions. And this is a quote by Khalil Gibran that I love. And it says, the reality of the other person lies not in what he reveals, but what he cannot reveal to you. Therefore, if you would understand him, listen not to what he says, but rather to what he does not say. And of course, it's not just he, it's a she. So it's not a matter of just listening to what the person is saying. Try to listen between the lines. Maybe their voice tone, they're saying, oh, I'm doing good, but their voice tone sound like they're depressed or they're not doing good. So try to listen to all of these cues and ask them. You say, well, I'm hearing your voice are a little down today. Are you okay? Do you need anything? So that is something that's going to be very important right now. This project plan tracking sheet, I love. I used that since 2004 with every team I managed, and whether it is in person or virtual. So it's in an Excel document, and I'll give you my email if you would like it in the Excel document. Just email me and I'll send it to you. where you're mainly asking your employees to list the projects they're currently working on, when they started working on them, when they're expecting it to be completed, what is the status of these projects, who are you working and collaborating with, any dependencies or challenges, areas that you can help them with. This is so important because specifically when we're working virtually, it's difficult to see what the employees are working on. And we tend to either overburden them with so many projects, we keep giving them more and more and more projects, or we get confused and think that they're lazy and they're not doing a good job. With a tracking sheet like this, it's going to give us more clarity of what the team they're working on, each one individually. And it creates a communication where you're going to be on the same page with your team, so everybody understand what they're working on. And it's just amazing. It saved me so many times when I manage global teams. So this shifts the thinking from hourly, where you're tracking the 8 to 5 or the certain hours that your team used to work in the past, and it makes it more results oriented. It's a matter of getting the work done. It doesn't matter the specific hours, unless if your employees are hourly, that's a whole different thing. So if you want this in an Excel document, just email me. Here's my email and I'll send it to you. And another thing I want to mention, many times when we're virtual, a lot of managers, they're uncomfortable with it. And I hear about managers that are asking their team members to document what they're working on every hour. So they have to complete a sheet that says, and then from 8 to 9, I worked on this. From 9 to 10, I worked on this. Can you imagine how frustrating and a waste of time that is? As if we're micromanaging them. It's not a matter of the hour, it's a matter of results. And it's a matter of visibility. So you would know what your team are working on. And this tracking sheet is going to help you with that. So that's the first one. The second one is connecting the team with the strategy. So the team members that are remaining, make sure you continue to share with them the goals. Where's the organization heading? The opportunities that you're looking at. Make sure they stay connected with that and they're aware, because it's important for them to understand how their work is contributing to the bottom line. If they feel that they're just going to work to do their job and leaving, you're missing the important sense of purpose that people usually get when they understand how their work is helping the overall organization. So here are some of the things to think about. So communicate the corporate strategy and goals. Help the team understand how their work contributes to the company's success and the bottom line. Share news about the good things that you're doing right now, especially in the community. Maybe you're donating PPE. Maybe you are helping to donate to the food bank. Whatever you are doing, make sure your team is aware of that, especially the millennials. This is so important to them, because to them, it's not a matter of just the bottom line and getting work done. It's a matter of the bigger thing, helping the community, making a positive difference. And we need to ensure that we're sharing that with them. So now the third one is helping the team to be connected with each other. We miss the water cooler time. We miss the ability to go and have lunch with our team members. So that's why it's important for us to do things virtually and give space for the team to talk to each other. It doesn't have to be a long time. Maybe it is half an hour once a week or every other week, but it's a matter of connecting the team together and having them talk about topics beyond just getting the work done. So before I move forward, I want to see if you have any questions, any thoughts regarding what we covered up to now related to connecting and being intentional and helping your team with these areas. Okay. As you're typing, go ahead, type, and I'll share with you one more thing here. So all of us, at least in my situation, if I have a checklist, I would do so much better than than if I don't. It's mainly tracking what I'm doing. So I put together a checklist for you with these items. So this is a weekly checklist. And again, I'll email it to you for the ones that ask for it. And it's mainly for you to track what you have completed and what you didn't. So these are, the first one is related to connecting with your team members. The second one is connecting the team with a corporate strategy. And the third one is connecting the team members together. So this is mainly for you on a weekly basis to put a check mark on the things that you completed, and the ones that you didn't, to focus on the following week. But it's so important not to ignore them and not to just focus on like getting the tactical work done, but to give your employees the opportunity to feel these connections. Okay, if you're new to managing virtual teams, which I see some of you are, make sure your team, they have the tools, the IT tools and resources that are needed. Schedule department meetings, continue to have them talk about their challenges and what they're working on, because that's so important. I know a lot of organizations, they're doing like daily huddles, or they're having more frequent department meetings. That's amazing. If you're not, make sure you start doing that. Set expectations. So as a leader, as a business owner, you need to set expectations of what you are expecting from the team, especially as they're working virtually. And that is so important. I hear some managers complain that the team may not be online and available all day long, or they're not responsive so fast to the emails. And I ask them, I say, did you communicate that? Did you set the expectations? And they would say, no, I didn't do that. So if you did not tell your team what you want, of course, they're not going to be delivering it. So make sure you set expectations and reduce unnecessary meetings. You'll realize that meetings increase. So tell me, do you feel that there's so much more meetings right now as we're working virtually, as if we're trying to compensate all of the face-to-face interaction, and we're overwhelming our teams with meetings and emails? So ask yourself, do some of these meetings need to happen, or can you either postpone them, or can you not even have them? Can you just have a quick phone call with somebody and figure things out? So anybody who schedules a meeting, automatically ask, what is the objective? What are you trying to accomplish? Because many times, a lot of us, we schedule meetings for the sake of scheduling meetings, and that's not healthy. So for anyone who has not used online tools for working virtually, I put together a list for you. So take a screenshot or email me and I'll send it to you. I use a lot of Zoom. I use Dropbox. I know some people, they use Microsoft Teams because it offers a lot of these features all in one tool. But just make sure you have something and your team, they're comfortable in using it. So now we have some time to talk about motivating virtual teams, but in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and enter them in the chat box or the Q&A section, and we'll go ahead and answer them. So let's talk about motivating virtual teams, because it's difficult. It's not the same as you're bringing the team together and you're having coffee, or you're having donuts, or you're having lunch meeting. It's different. So virtual team building activities, virtual team lunch. If you have the finances to be able to afford this, encourage your team to order lunch from a local restaurant and have the food delivered to them and have them expense it. It doesn't mean, if you don't have the finances, it's okay, don't do that. But if you do, it's gonna mean a lot for your team. First, it's bringing them together to have lunch together and to chat and to connect. Second, they feel that you care about the community and you're supporting it. And third, they feel gratitude that you are paying for that. So that is something for you to think about. It is an idea for a team building activity virtually. The second one is check-in. So at the beginning of the meeting, just say, how's everybody doing? And go around the virtual room and have them share. Some of them may say, I'm doing good. Others may say hopeful. Others may say depressed. And whatever they say is absolutely okay. It just mainly gives you a sense of how the team are feeling, and the other team members can get a sense of that as well. Tour of the workspace. So a lot of people like that, They want to see where their team members are working. So whether they're doing a short video of their desk at home or a picture, apparently people like that. So, and I'll show you some examples of that. Virtual meeting with children. So this is another fun team building activity where they're working virtually and they get to bring their children to the meeting. It's not an official meeting, but the best part about it is you have the children share what they think their parents, they do for a living. And that is so funny to hear it from the voice of the little child. So think about simple things that you can do that should not take a lot of time. Again, even if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it's just to make people connect, engage, and laugh. Because again, we're all going through such difficult time right now. And the last thing we want is for people, your team, to feel isolated as they are working virtually. So here are some examples. This is a company in Baton Rouge. It's called Red 6 Media that I absolutely love. So here's a picture they posted on social media of them in their situation. It looks like they went to pick the food, but they're ordering from local restaurants and they're eventually sitting and eating together. So that shows a lot. And this is wonderful for the brand of the company too, because you get to share it on social media and you get to show that you are helping the community. This is their desk. So remember, I told you about pictures of the desks. They have pictures of their desk and they share it with each other. They share it on social media. So now let me ask you, what are you doing to continue to motivate your virtual team? Remember, we want to be engaged. Share with us. Tell us what you are doing. Thank you, Stephanie. We've had virtual happy hours. That's amazing. I'm dropping off handmade cards and gifts at everyone's door tomorrow. That's just so amazing. Kate, not enough. Okay, well, hopefully this is going to give you ideas to think of how to engage them. And Samantha, the chat is going fast. We had birthday Zoom meetings. Someone even made a cake. That's amazing. Jacqueline, Wednesday's meetings start with music and dancing. That's amazing. So keep thinking about that because that's wonderful. And Stephanie, love the gifts and card idea. So that's wonderful. I'm glad you got some information out of this. So as we have 1 minute, I want to share with you that a lot of your teams right now, and my team as well, they're feeling as if we're in a bad storm. Imagine as if you are in an airplane in the sky, high up, and the last thing you want is to not hear from the pilot. All of us as business owners and leaders, we're like the pilot right now. We need to show leadership. We need to communicate to the team. We may not have answers, and that's okay. None of us have answers right now. But what matters is to continue to communicate with them and continue to help them feel that they can trust us during this time, because we can't just be isolated. So here are some things: listen to them, set clear expectations, over communicate, continue to provide support to them, lead by examples. If you want them to do something, you do it first. Take time to develop them, that's so important, and create a sense of community. And everything we talked about is linked to all of these things. So be intentional. And this is the end. I want to hear more from your chat. Tell us what you've taken away from our presentation today. I am based in Baton Rouge. This is my contact information. So if you have any questions, you want to talk, just go ahead, email me, we'll schedule time. And I'm going to give an hour coaching session we're doing a door prize, a virtual door prize. So if you go to this link and just enter your name and your information. I just entered it in the chat. If you do that, I will select one person, and it would be whether it's discussing your business, discussing your team building, discussing layoffs. I'll go ahead and select one and send it to Stacy. So thank you. It was such a pleasure being with you today. I hope you stay healthy and safe, and hopefully we're all learning valuable lessons from this experience that will make us better and more effective business owners in the long term.